broke out in the leg. And then after the shingles, I ended up with a type of neuralgia, a nerve neuralgia in the leg, whole lower part of the leg. So it's really been challenging, and I apologize for not being here. Although I have to tell you, as you may know, Arturo and Sam have done an amazing job. They really have. Samantha, do you mind if I call you Sam?
No, that's just fine.
I realize I do it all the time around here, but I always call you Samantha in person. And if I can just do that, it works. It really flows for me.
Yeah, that's just fine.
So Samantha's going to be with us too. For this Talking Dog show. I'm going to be here for about 35 minutes and then off to physical therapy. But I wanted to be here as much as I can today, and also open, the pipeline for conversation, for questions, for thoughts. I've been a breeder over 50 years, created the breed Royal Frenchel Frenchies, and you can see them at royalfrenchel.com. And we have the smallest bulldogs in the world. You cannot turn your head to one side while you have puppies like that. Please attend to them in a very highly focused manner, or I'm going to have them taken out. Okay. Have to do it, folks. It's just like kids, we have to care for them in the middle of the show, at the end of the show, before the show. It's just how it works, right? Somebody is holding pups that we're going to show you during the show, and they are looking at their phone too at the same time. Can't do that if you have pups in a container, and they need to be really watched nonstop. So anyway, yeah, so I wanted to see what Samantha wants to talk about today. She has these questions. She's a healer. She works in the healing arts on the East Coast and Connecticut area. She's an amazing human being. She has a few Royal Frenchels herself. But before we go on to that, I just want to mention this is the last week for the 17% off on our 3-in-1 thermos, which is so amazing. It has these two bowls attached at the bottom for water and for food, right? And while you and your dog are out and about, you can have food, water for your dog. And then, of course, anytime you want for yourself, you can drink. And it's really a fun bonding ritual. I know that sounds funny because it's like getting some food and water, like, so what? Well, snack time for all of us. I mean, let's face it, food for human beings. We do everything around rituals of Sunday dinners and everything else. Well, dogs are no different, actually. It's one area where dogs determine pack leadership. Head dogs determine who eats first, and so on. And that's part of all of our genetics, dogs included. And so these things are really fun for creating that little unity bond for a moment or two when you're out. And of course, nourishing and staying away from any dehydration and stuff, which is so important. It's really easy to get dehydrated, and having a little snack, keep that blood sugar up, and dogs remain happy and you remain happy. And when my dogs see this thing come out in the car, they just immediately stand at attention, and they're not even getting that much because I don't take a whole heck of a lot with me, but it's just such a wonderful, wonderful product. And I wanted to, bring your attention to it. It's 17% off this week, and the tariffs are coming. We don't know what they will bring with them in terms of an increase, but we know that they will increase some. So I just want to remind you and invite you to go to
Tail wagging, and the link's in the description on the YouTube.
There you go.
Or on the social media channel you're watching us from.
Right also, down below.
I just want to say, if you would like to participate live and ask questions and be here with us, there's a link in the chat. Just join that Zoom link and we'll let you in the room, and you could just have at it and ask any question you'd like and participate. So I invite you to do that. Of course, if you're here live. If this is in the recording, that won't be available. But
yeah, and listen, right. One other thing, people have a couple of people wrote me about my vaping, and I want you to know that You know, I vape. I'm not going to play a marketing game by sitting up here and not being the me I am. I am the me I am, okay? And I vape. And what I do vape is actually a medication that I get from my doc for my brain. I had a brain disease when I was a child, and I have a medication that I vape in. I used to smoke many, many years ago, and vaping was my choice, and it works beautifully. It's a medicated serum, and it works really well for me. So please understand. I don't want to play a game with you and get all, you know, edgy and not be real. That's just the truth. It's completely not harmful to the dogs or anyone I'm around. It's not like smoking or anything like that. Okay, all that aside, where are we going today? Samantha, jump on with us. I would love to hear what your thoughts are today. And start us going, kid.
Well, my first thought is welcome back. I'm so glad to see that you are feeling better, and you know, that's top priority. So I'm so glad that you're here. And again, my kind of ongoing conversation that I've really been enjoying having with both you and Arturo is just about the evolution of Royal Frenchels, and also delving a little deeper into what your experience is on the spiritual and emotional relationship and bond that we share with our dogs. So, I already asked you about why the breed started. You've shared that the breed was started around your daughter being in the hospital and being able to have a dog that you could bring into the hospital. So it was inspired by her need, which I think is beautiful, a beautiful part of the story behind this breed. But I guess
Oh, also
slightly
at the same time, Samantha, at the same time, they were making changes in the Frenchie breed where they shorten the front legs and shorten the neck, and that was very, very concerning to me. And at the same time, Sachi became ill. She was actually home at the time, but she was had a central line in her neck, and she was receiving home care nurses daily. It was quite a serious time for us, and quite a serious time, in my view, for the French Bulldog breed. As we can see now, it's over 20 years later, and you can see how the Frenchies have suffered. The increase in hydrocephalic syndrome is enormous. Um, uh, you know, the continued joint issues, spinal issues, neurological issues are off the charts. It's sad. I mean, a majority of Frenchies by 5 years old have very significant health issues or chronic issues. And that's something that hurt me because the Frenchie was always the breed that I adored so much, and I couldn't participate in it. So at that time, I left AKC because AKC doesn't make those rules. The breed standards are created by the breeds themselves, but breed groups themselves. But it disturbed me that nobody was really speaking out strongly about it. So rather than doing all of that, I just decided, you know, I considered that a roadblock because I don't want to sell dogs that I know are going to get worse with age. You know, that's not something I do. I've been a breeder over 50 years. I wanted to create dogs that lived longer, were healthier, and that had the best personality. People, and I know forgive me, I know I interrupt and I'm so terrible at that. But you inspire me to thoughts that come, and I want to share them because I think they're along the lines of what your interest is. Um, but you know, essentially, people so often, everybody's been trained to buy a dog that looks a certain way. You know, they're held up by their neck, and they're you know, look at this, look at that. You look at their paws, you look at their parents, as though some normal people, you know, who aren't in the industry know what that even will tell them. They don't, and 9 times out of 10. So what has always been my whole life as a breeder, a huge focus of mine is personality, because you know, you can have the greatest looking dog in the world, it can be the greatest color, it can have a this or that, a blue eye, you know, whatever, but boy, if it chews your house and destroys it, if it's untrainable, if it's miserably nervous and aggressive, these things are horrible issues to suffer. And once you have a dog, and most people want to stay dedicated and loyal as their dog would be in their dreams, then they're stuck. They're stuck 5, 10, 15 years, well, 5 or 10 today for most breeds. And so Royal Frenchel is heavily focused on personality and health, and then looks. And so I always trust looks, because the right soul, the right personality, the right breeding is going to show a beautifully healthy dog that's going to be, definitely responded to by someone. And so I focus there first, and looks comes last. But it's not last like I never think of it. Of course, we want to have a dog that meets the requirements that I feel are so important in a healthy and an agile dog that doesn't get in trouble. So those were the reasons why I was so dedicated, so passionate about it. My daughter increased the need for timeliness in creating the breed, because she was crying so hard. She was upsetting her whole central line and all of that. And she wanted to take my Frenchie into the hospital with her, and I couldn't let her because Diva would have gotten injured. Without question, they get injured within 6 to 18 months. Any Frenchie that lives around a hospital will typically become injured, because that hard floor, industrial floors, are just too much for them. So yeah, that's what happened there.
Well, I think what you said could easily be missed by some people, but what I heard you say, and one thing that I really love about you and Arturo doing this show, is it's important for, I just think, dog owners in general to be re-educated about the way that we view our dogs and even just breeding in general, so that we can provide better for them. And even something that you said about how, I mean, typically, I mean, not being a breeder, I wouldn't think about Frenchies being bred to have shorter necks or shorter front legs, and the impact of the quality that that would have on them.
Oh,
Um, so I think
it
it's
suffered
so
so much
important
from
for
it.
people to think a little bit broader in terms of, you know, not just what they're looking for, but really the quality of life that the way that dogs are bred has on the dogs that we want to have as our family members.
Yep. Yep. And I'll tell you, there's a really important perspective to have. In the past, the idea of getting a smaller dog was this horrible idea. It was like, it's only good for purses, and then it's going to yap, and it's going to create problems. It's going to bite everybody who comes close. And, the old pictures of a Chihuahua that does that, this, that, and the other. I want you to think for a minute about technology. Think back, when I was young, what, 30, 40, 50 years ago. I was in the age of computers when they were starting, and my husband at the time worked in a computer location, and actually worked on the computers back then. And the computer was the size of my house here. Okay, it was the size of this room and the room next to me, not the whole house, but and I remember calling him and talking to him, and he would take pictures, with his camera and bring them home. We had cameras back then. And it was this enormous black box with little lights going on and off. Um, and, and over time, you can see that the computers got smaller and smaller and smaller. And that computer there that was so enormous now would represent maybe 1/1000th of what my computer sitting in front of me here that's 14 inches can do. Okay. So I want us to think for a moment about evolution and about the truth of it, because when dogs began, and I keep talking about this subject because I really want people to understand the impact of evolution. when we hung out with dogs early on, it was because, you know, people were sitting around a campfire, they were hungry, the dogs were hungry, and they decided to pair up because the people noticed the dogs hunt well, the dogs noticed that people had better means of catching the animal or cooking it or making it available to them and fixing it to them. So they joined up. And then over time, and those dogs were huge, they were wolves. They were big wolves. They weren't little wolves. And then over time, you have evolution, you know, 1,500 years ago, 1,000 years ago, you know, late 1700s, 1800s. What you have is this whole evolution where you had these big dogs, enormous, really big dogs. We're talking about the super large, you know, hound dogs, the super large mastiffs. Why? Why did we have them? We had them because, number one, the nobility in that time period was breaking off certain genetic lines, and their people who were working for them became specialists in genetically splitting those lines. However, what they were splitting them for was what was needed then, and that was big dogs for protection. It was hunting dogs. It was, you know, really just large dogs everywhere. I mean, German shepherds came out of that, you know. You have the cane corsos of the world, the really big old boxers that were like 100 pounds or 90 pounds. You know, you have dogs that, you know, the Newfoundlands, the fabulous what is it, the brown and white big dog that always carried the thing on him in Switzerland,
Saint
and
Bernard.
Saint Bernard dog. And so you had these really large breeds that were there to protect, to save, to help us effect certain tasks and things like that. And then what happened? The Industrial Revolution. And we have people now working inside, no longer outside. We have food being produced. We have farms. And now we have animals that are living on the farms, and they're coming back to the people in the evening. They get their meal. And what happens? The children are laying down with the dogs. They make special friends. A puppy is born with something wrong with it, and the family takes it in. That puppy becomes another member of the family, right? And slowly but surely, what you have is this evolution, this shift that went on from outside to inside. And it's not only outside in the world, like hunting and forest versus the house, the cabin. It's really outside, meaning handling things in the world around you, versus internal, starting to connect for the purposes of dealing with loneliness or wanting the best partner and buddy you could have in the world, that the two of you never ever give, you know, that bond is unshakable. You are always there for each other. And that type of unconditionality was born out of that period. And however, the sizes remained the same, and the personalities that went with those sizes were not really compatible with what was developing as a desire and a need on the human end of things, where we wanted connection on a soulful, you know, in a soulful way. We wanted love, and we wanted to give love. We wanted someone to be by our side, go places with us, travel with us, be good to our children, save our children if need be, you know, keep them in the yard with them and make sure they don't touch anything bad. You know, we had this entire shift. Well, that shift happened and got bigger and bigger, meaning more and more people wanted dogs to the degree that were connecting on an emotional and soulful level and spiritual level, to the point where today 33% of a recent survey of women who didn't want children said they preferred having a dog, and they're looking for dogs to have as a family member and not having children, where Seattle has more dogs in it than children. San Francisco is growing that way. We have cities like St. Petersburg, Florida, that is, you know, completely a dog city. A number of them across the US. I would take all our time if I named them all. But my point is, here we are today in a place where there is this desire and this need, but there wasn't a breakthrough dog There wasn't a dog that came in the right size with a great personality, who enjoyed all the travel, meaning they could go with you everywhere, a partner that goes with you everywhere, right? We want those traits. Well, that dog is a Royal Frenchel. The Royal Frenchel breed is a breed that meets today's desire and need in humans, and it meets the needs of dogs because dogs were frustrated themselves. It's very, very hurtful to a dog that is like a German Shepherd being kept in an apartment in the city because somebody has the idea that a Shepherd is the best dog in the world, right? I mean, that's just or a Malamute, or a Mastiff. You have these enormous dogs in lifestyles and in environments that no longer fit them, and it hurts the dogs. It's hard on the dogs, but the dogs want to serve. They want to be there. And so they end up doing things like eating your entire couch, or they bite the mailman, or they eat the entire roast, and you're at the vet with them because they have some enormous thing in their stomach and it's surgery $5,000 later. And so you have all these major issues. Whereas if what you do is get a Royal Frenchel, those issues are gone, completely gone, because a Royal Frenchel was bred for all of these traits that are desired today. They were bred for companionship at the highest level. They were bred for, we call it around here at Royal Frenchel, manners matter most. The 3 M's, we call it the M&Ms. And it's manners matter most. We had someone we were interviewing yesterday for our YouTube station to talk to customers, and she was saying, oh my God, I never even trained her to do that. She's not even certified, but I was in this, old age home, and she would just get up and walk with the woman with her walker, and then come back with her. And she went on and shared about her experience with the dog she's gotten this last year. And when I hear those stories, which are countless with the Royal Frenchel, the reason why is they were bred for a highest intuitive base. Their brain focuses on relationship and intuitive knowledge of the environment and what's going on. And so that they can flow and ebb in it with you. They are there to be, right with you, like the way you imagine fish, moving together. Your dog moves that way with you. So a Royal Frenchel does that. And that is just killer. It's really killer. Did I understand all of the far reaches that a Royal Frenchel would go? No, I did not. I mean, there is grace in the world. This is a blessing, and beyond that for me, for my daughter originally, for everyone who has them since. However, we are part of a massive evolution that's really, really important to acknowledge and to understand. Little dogs like a Royal Frenchel are not dangerous. They aren't problematical. They don't have more health issues. They have less. They live longer. They live 14 to 18 years, and they could, with the right care over time and breeding, go into the 20s in terms of length of life. My boy just passed at 16 and a half. A huge amount has to do with food and the care of things like that, which we go into often here on the show, and definitely with our customers. But this is what I really wanted to talk about, is this whole experience of, we've seen evolution in all these different areas of life, technology and computers, cars. Think about the massive size of a Cadillac years ago. Today, they're these slim and sleek cars, right? And you can just choose any industry you want and think about it, and you'll see that the evolution is from the outside to the in, from large to small, and to really be sensitive to what a human being is doing in its inner life, along with with what it's doing in terms of excuse me, I just got completely thrown off here. Arturo did something with the computer and I just lost it for a second. But so you can see the difference from working outside with dogs working for you on the outside, and then it becoming so important to have a connection on the inside. And the dog also, this is not a one-way thing. The dogs themselves have evolved to require the same desire, and that's what they want. And so the more of us that hook that up properly with a real match, oh my God, it's heaven. It's heaven, isn't it? I mean, isn't that why you're here?
Absolutely. And you
What do you think about what I'm saying here?
well,
Does this make sense to you?
oh, it totally makes sense to me. And um, the one thing that stood out about what you said, I mean, many things stood out about what you said, but one of the things that stood out the most was just the idea that we have been breeding dogs to meet our needs. And there's a huge amount of power that comes with that.
Mhm.
And there's a huge responsibility that comes with that.
Right.
And one thing that I've discussed with you is the integrity that you have in not just breeding dogs for our needs, but breeding dogs for their needs and the quality of their life and their health. And I think it's really important to be a part of that conversation if we're going to ask so much from our dogs.
5 minutes in. Uh-huh. Uh-huh. It's
Um,
really important. I noticed that Rebecca joined us, and I would love to bring her on, but Arturo took her off, and I would like to get her back. And next time I can deal with that. Please don't do that, because it really kind of shook
Hi,
the difference. I'd
I
appreciate
can hear you. Sorry.
Yeah, I know, but we
Turn it-
want to
you
see
can turn
you.
your video on now, Rebecca.
Okay.
There you go.
Hi.
All right. Okay, well, he has difficulty because, I mean, let's face it, I've been a bulldog breeder forever, right? I am not an easy old bitch, okay? I mean, let's just put that out there, okay? I am just not. I am tough as nails about, cleanliness, because that's critical for everything. We have a motto here, not a motto, what do you call a creed we say at every single meeting at Royal Frenchel. Order is hygiene, is happiness, is health. Sharing, seeing friends and shining personalities to sail abilities and blessed bonuses for all hear the call. And that's just really, and I'll take it apart at some point. I would love to do that, because it really is a great creed to live by. It really is. It's awesome with your dogs to live by it, because that creed gives a dog everything it desires most in life, and we'll go over it. But welcome, Rebecca.
Thank you. I
I'm
love the creed, by the way, and I love the conversation. I'm just jumping in late, so excuse that. But
Rebecca has a
yep.
Royal Frenchel named Ren. And she's just awesome. I don't know if you can pick her up there. She's in
I
my
sure can.
can you grab me a soda real quick? Let's just be home here, okay?
Yeah.
Let's be home.
Oh,
They're in the refrigerator. Thank you.
this
No.
is my good girl.
Thank
Yeah.
you. Okay, go ahead, girl. Oh, look.
There
So
she is. I tease her that her tongue is too long for her mouth.
she's beautiful.
She's got her
Yeah.
head up. See if you can get her head down a little bit. Just tap something so she's got a blue eye and a brown eye.
Yeah, I want you to see her. Oh, there it is a little bit.
Now,
She's such a
sweetheart,
good girl.
I just have 4 minutes to be here, and please forgive me, but I have to do my physical therapy or I won't be able to walk very well. So I'm going to sneak out while you're visiting. Arturo's going to take over, but I really want to hear what you're saying on my way out.
That sounds good. Okay, good. Thanks. Well, I'm here to talk about anything, and I've just recently got a chance to sneak in your book with the dog wisdom. It's been so precious to hear about and consider some of what makes sense to them, and how to kind of shine their personality, as your motto says, that creed of of shining a person's personality has really been on my mind with my dogs. And Royal Frenchels are so immediately who they are that it becomes so easy to be with them and to learn from them, as opposed to taking someone who hasn't been seen first and trying to get them to come out. You know, these dogs are extraordinary in that they've already been witnessed, and they're just at the surface, they're happy to share and be a part of your life in any way. And I love that so much. And it just, to me, it's like about, it's really so much how I want to live my life, that I can be more on the outside all the time, like more expressed in who I am and shining my own personality. And they're an example that's living every day of just serving, being who they are, being like, my girl's a huge leader. Like, she can go with any dog and knows what she wants, articulate that, and get along with them. It's remarkable, and I aspire to that. So her being in my life is like a great blessing and invitation to more of that leadership. So it's like, to think kind of lowly, like your dog is just there for you, like you were kind of mentioning, Samantha, is really missing the ticket, because they are so much more than that. And when they're raised with that intentionality, it's such a different game, you know?
And when they have the genetic predisposition for it.
Yes.
Really tough for a dog that was used for ratting, getting rodents in old buildings. It's really hard for them to control themselves when they're out and they have these urges, and they
Yep.
do very well with it, and you can work with it, but it's hard on them. And
Yes.
to bring dogs along to, what really is the movement of today that we require. What are the behaviors today that will aid them and aid us together, because we've been together for over 3,000 years. There's no longer relationship than that. The only thing we have is a relationship with trees longer. I mean, really, it's quite extraordinary when you think about it.
Yeah.
Dogs have been our closest ally in life as another species for the entirety of human existence. It's pretty awesome.
Yeah. Really significant.
It's very significant. And really gets, so much gets bypassed in the world today while everybody's climbing after everything, going after everything. And if we can just slow down enough to consider, the gratitude of the things around us,
Yeah.
to actually consider what, what are we really doing here?
Right.
What is this
Yeah.
for? You know,
Yeah.
and to enjoy our dogs that way, and to really recognize, you know, this long history that is so amazing to consider. I mean, think
Yeah.
about it. That's so blooming amazing to consider that this species has come along with us and changed itself over time in order to fit just perfectly in with us. It's extraordinary. That's what they've wanted to do.
Yeah, that's wild to consider.
Believe me, if they didn't, it would have gone another way.
Right?
I'm going to let you all enjoy. Thank you.
Right.
Much love to you. Carol's going to
You
take my
too.
Thanks,
Enjoy your.
Anahata.
Yes, you have a wonderful, wonderful afternoon, and we'll see you next week.
All right.
Rebecca, you made me think of a really sweet memory. I'm just gonna wake up one of my dogs so you can see him. This is Cozy
Oh.
Bear.
Oh.
And you made me remember when he was a puppy, probably 10 or 12 weeks old, when you said they've been witnessed. These dogs have been witnessed, and you can see that difference in them. And when he got old enough, again, probably 10 or 12 weeks, I just started to just walk him around the block. And I happen to have a lot of dogs in my neighborhood.
Yeah.
And he was fearless. He
Yeah.
was not afraid of people. He was not afraid of dogs. And in fact, I noticed something about his behavior that seemed strange to me. Um, he would go up, it didn't matter the size of the dog, but if you picture a person going up to somebody, and if we didn't greet people with a handshake or, be a little bit more standoffish and just say
Mhm.
hello, but if we would go up to people and hold their face and look into
Yeah.
their eyes,
Yeah.
that's what he was doing with other dogs. I'm
Yeah.
kind of thinking, why isn't he why aren't they going from the back, like a normal
Yeah.
dog does?
Yeah.
And you made me think, oh, it's because that's how he has been treated. He
Yep.
has been witnessed, as you said. He's had people picking him up and looking at it in his eyes and listening for who he is. And that's what I saw him doing with other dogs. He would literally put his paws on their face and look directly
Mm.
in their eyes.
Yeah.
In
Yep.
fact, there was one vet appointment that I had where one of the vet assistants was bringing her dog out while I was leaving. And this dog was a female South African Mastiff, huge.
Wow.
And I checked in with her first and I said, "Is your dog okay with other dogs?" And she said, "Yeah, she's such a love. She's so gentle." And I said, "Are you sure?" Because Cozy Bear at the time was probably all of 4 pounds. And she said, "No, no,
No.
really. I try. It's fine." And so he did the same thing with this giant dog. He just went right up to
Wow.
her face, put his little paws up, and looked right in her eyes. And it was
Wow.
incredible. So
Yeah.
I love that you talked about that witnessing part. I don't know.
Yeah.
Arturo, do you have any insight into what I'm sharing
I want
about?
to say one more thing, which is like she's like my secret weapon with my doula work
Mm.
because
Oh,
I
that's so
teach
cool that
birth
you do that.
classes and I'm telling you, she comes in the class with me, right? And she helps everyone feel so comfortable so quickly because she is that open heart there to just love you and be seen and be, enjoying. It puts everyone at ease, and it's like I think, you know, they can really, they like go under the radar of your defenses, you know,
Mm.
just
That's a
like
great way
Cozy
of
Bear, like
putting it.
getting up right against that big dog, it's like, it's almost like not part of the equation when they're so open-hearted and just forthcoming. But, that matters a lot because we're always so afraid of other humans, but to really get comfortable and just go up and greet their face and, love on them, uh, it makes everything possible, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Absolutely.
yeah.
I'm happy to join the conversation now. Hi, everybody. Um,
Yeah. So how do you
first of
weigh
all,
in on what we're talking about,
yeah,
Arturo?
first of all, let me tell you, this little girl I've been holding. Her name is Dasha Riggs. She's a
Oh,
sweetheart, and
no.
it's such an interesting conversation. I was just interviewing one of our customers, like I do regularly, to hear how it's going and to just hear their story. And we were sharing about the evolution of dogs, and Anahata just went through this whole history of the dogs, and my experience of them genetically, uh, first is that uh, they're pack animals, right? So one of the core principles of the pack is to look out for the pack.
Mm-hmm.
And when you join with a dog, they look out for you. Any dog, typically, it's
Right.
the nature of dog, right? And then Royal Frenchels take it an extra level, and I think that's where the evolution is. Because we've been doing this for now over 10 years, up to 15, close to 15 maybe from the start of it. There's a focus we have that is what Rebecca's saying is we witness them, we treat them as individuals. And this is like in the lines now. Like I think our first conversation that we had about it, I talked about epigenetics and the reality that the environment that you're in contributes to the genetic evolution of an organism. right? So your children are, whether you are preaching something to them or not doesn't really matter. It's the energy you are in who you're being is what they're receiving genetically. And that genetics goes into future generations and is really how we evolve as a species, how we evolve and have less challenges, let's say, than maybe our ancestors did in our own way of being in the world. And it's no different than the dogs. The family, our family is the Royal Frenchel family. We are the home base of the royal family. And these little dogs go out across the country and the world in different countries, and they change people's lives because of this, like you can say the mothership, the mother seed, if you ever did, if you ever grow anything that's fermented, you just have the mother, and the mother births all the spawn, or the children of whatever it is, whether it be mushrooms or kombucha or whatever, something that is growing. It's just a law of nature. So the environment that you create uh for the dogs is really the nest. It's the birthing ground of those genetics. So it's a combination, because dogs are evolving to connect to us, to watch out for the pack better and better. And what's the trend? What is like, if you were to generalize, let's just say America, well, what's the most important human need right now? Well, the human
Connection. Yeah.
connection. It's connection. That's why dogs are so popular, because people need
Yeah.
connection, right? Okay. So there it is. So the dogs are evolving to connect because the pack says, I need connection. And these dogs are being raised with the deepest witness and care for their individuality. So the maximum amount of their beingness is going to shine, because we
Yeah.
cultivate them that way. We don't restrict it. And that's really what it takes. They, the, another person that I interviewed shared with me, and they were saying, it's even on one of the videos, they're like, they care for their puppies in a special way during their innocence that doesn't damage them in any way, that doesn't take away any of what they're coming in with to give the world. And that's our job. And it's an honor, to raise the dogs and to look at them as individuals, to treat them. And it really isn't that complicated, is the truth. It's just it's a matter of decency for a species, which is why we have everybody read the interspecies communication article that Anahata wrote when they get at one of our dogs. We tell them, this is the first step in all the steps to receive your dog. We want you to read this article and really get the context of this relationship that we've developed with them, that you're going to carry on, right? And it really is. I mean, and they're so pliable. They're so elastic in their ability to receive, that all you have to do is give those inputs at certain intervals, and they get it, because it's natural to them, because it's how they're made. And it's no different from humans, is the truth, because humans are innocent when they start, right? And it's the world and the interpretation of the world and the environments that they're raised in that create the distortion of the mind, that has people interpret things as hurtful and feel less than great and less than outrageous and less than brilliant. And with a dog, it's a lot easier, is the truth.
It's true.
It's so much
Yeah.
easier, because they're not socially influenced until they get out there. And if they went to a family or an environment where people treated them like they were stupid, they would get stupid.
Yeah.
That's just how it is. If they treat them like what we would say a dog, the dog, like, it's so funny, because they are dogs, right? Genetically, they're dogs, but we keep saying they're not doggy dogs. And we're like, well, what does that even mean? Well, they're not doggy dogs because they're super intelligent, because they're emotionally attuned to you, because they are communicating to you on a much higher level than most dogs would, and because they can join you in the most intimate way. And I think this is what I was so grateful to talk to this woman today, who we'll get this interview out soon. But I was saying, the evolution is that they keep coming closer to us, right?
Yeah.
They're from the wild to the campfire, to the yard, to the living room, to the bed, to your heart, right?
Mhm.
And that's where the Royal Frenchel lives. They live in your, like, in my understanding of my relationships, you know, there's certain energies of relationship and they all go out. We call them the rings of radiance. And your closest ring are the people that are closest to you, who know everything about you, right? And they're the trust. It's the inner circle of trust. Well,
Yeah.
these guys go there. They enter
Mhm.
that circle with you in an unspoken language, in a vibe that is there for you before you may even be aware that you are having difficulty. They're there looking at you, being like, I love you. I love you. I'm right here with you. I love you. I'm right here with you. I love you. Did I say I love you? You know what I'm saying? And
Yeah.
then they make you laugh and they do something funny. Like, my dog is right here. She's right there. And she knew, she thought I was leaving with Anahata, so she went out there. She realized I wasn't leaving. She came right back. Where's Turo? Oh, there he is. And here he is. Now she's right there. Now she's vibing with me with my energy. So
Yeah.
she's always in this, in my first ring of energy. And when she's not, she's like, you know, we're literally like, you know, I can telepathically sense how she's doing because we are that connected. And
Mhm.
I don't think telepathy is that odd of a thought at that point when you consider the reality that they're just connected to you on the deepest place. So they're going to feel you. You're going to feel them. We're together. And
Mhm.
that is, like, to me, the most nourishing thing that humans could ask for these days, which is why I think people are are beyond elated about our dogs when they get them. Before
Yeah.
they get them, they don't understand. Because how would you understand? It's not an experience yet in the world.
Yeah.
I think you're talking about having a pretty interesting conversation because you're talking about how environment relates to not a space or a place, but an energy and the way that we communicate. So
Absolutely.
that the way that we communicate is actually creating an environment, which
Not
is
necessarily, it's not
we
necessarily
typically,
it's not the way, because that can, you know, it could be like, you know, performance, like I need to be kind. It's about genuineness. You know, it's about genuine exchanges that witness the actual core of value that each participant has. So when you're treating your dog as an intelligent creature with their own personality, that energy is the most fortifying environment they can grow in. And it's the same for humans.
yeah, I think about sincere and honest communication. And I think it's something that is not typically promoted. You know, I almost think it's something that is discouraged more than it is encouraged in the world. To we're kind of taught that it's just not safe, that we should, you know, like Anahata was so honest in who she was today. And um, she made it clear that she's not going to settle for less than that. And it's kind of not encouraged in the world to do that. Um,
Yeah,
and
that is the current culture that's the predominant culture that we all have to contend with, is the truth.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And so I think to um, have the safety of these animals um, that really give us the safety to be honest and to feel our feelings without being judged, I think it's such a huge gift. And I think if the world could take that on a little bit more, it would be a safer place all around. That if somebody asks you how they're doing, you can trust that they actually really want to know how you're doing. And that I mean, it's such a simple thing, but to be able to have that freedom is huge. And I think it's a great thing to be able to practice with our dogs, to
Yeah.
just let our guard down, allow ourselves to be seen by these purely, as you said, Arturo, such purely loving animals, such generously loving animals, and be able to practice that, being witnessed ourselves. We're talking about witnessing them, but they witness us too, and we can't always trust that we're going to be witnessed in ways that are so unconditionally loving and so free of judgment out in the world.
Right.
Mhm.
And so having a tiny little companion who can go with you everywhere, which is why we recommend everyone make their dog service dogs. You know,
Mhm.
line up with a doctor, get yourself a prescription. The truth is, they serve you, and you
Yep.
need to just articulate what that service is and make it happen. Emotional support dogs are not the idea. You want to get a service dog, you want to have a trained service dog that can go with you everywhere. And they barely need training, is the truth. They just need to learn to be decent citizens in public. No barking at people, which they don't do normally,
Yep.
rarely, no going to the bathroom in public. And otherwise, they're kind of like out of the box, ready to go. I actually
Yeah.
met this guy in New Jersey who's getting one. He's like, he's so blown away. He's like, it was Savannah. Savannah Love went to him, and he's like, man, Arturo, she's like out of the box, ready to go. I'm
So
like, tell me about it. It's so true, And it's just so true. And like I said, you can't tell people that, but you'll experience it. But yeah, so the smaller, it's like they've even adapted and evolved to be smaller,
Mhm.
almost like intelligently, like Earth intelligence, because that they get to go with you everywhere much easier. It's like they're even that way. I mean, they're just so damn easy. And that's pretty much the feedback I get across the board talking to people, is how easy they are. In addition to the healing benefits, like I keep hearing from people that their blood pressure is going down. Woman I
Mm.
just spoke to is a natural doctor. She's an MD, but she focuses on natural medicine. I
Mm.
can't wait to make her video. And she was saying the truth is, Arturo, these dogs should be prescribed. They
Yeah.
really should. They should be prescribed. Royal Frenchel should be the top choice for prescriptions. Just give anyone with depression or anxiety, boom, get yourself a Royal Frenchel. Watch Elena's video. We did this video with Elena. She suffered PTSD. Incredible improvements right off the bat. Even her therapist has acknowledged the presence of her dog has changed her life. And that is the question I ask everybody, how has your life changed with your Royal Frenchel? And I can't tell you how profound the answers are. And it's all because of what we've all just spoken. That is the supporting data, right? The evolution of the dog to the heart of people. The Royal Frenchel is there with you, and you always have a good friend right there. And that's what they're all about, right? And that is the nature of dog.
Mhm.
Royal is just farther into that little crevice of the little world of you that nobody else knows, and your little dog gets right in there and licks your heart.
They also have this way of just making friends with everybody that
Yeah.
for me, like, I'm more of a shy person, so when it's like an instant icebreaker, because they just go and make friends, and people are so
Drawn to them.
yeah, it's safe, I guess, because they know that they're not going to judge. Like, my Ren is not going to judge them, like they can just be themselves, and it really is a profound thing to, like, because I never used to take my dog everywhere until I got Ren, and then taking her everywhere now, it's like I connect with so many more people just automatically, and it's because of her.
Yeah,
It's
is the
just
bridge.
really
And there is
something.
and there is something unique, like I keep comparing dog to royal, right? Like dogs are icebreakers. Dogs are great to have everywhere.
Yeah.
But the one thing that you'll always hear from Royal Frenchel people is that people stop them because there's something different about that dog.
Mm,
They
mhm.
all see it. And what could you possibly observe? I mean, just look at it scientifically. Well, you can see their eyes, right?
Yeah.
And how they behave. But otherwise, the coloration is like, okay, they're either beautiful or they're not, according to you. You know, it's a judgment. It's like, are they beautiful? But it's the eyes, in my opinion. It's how they show, they reveal their intelligence right on the surface. They
Yeah.
reveal their empathic tendency that they feel and can feel you and look right into you,
Yeah.
right? Like they do with your dog, Samantha, with the dogs you meet. They're looking right into them, looking for that shining personality, right? And that is to me the magic touch. That is the
Mhm.
magic that people see. It's this evolved little dog.
That's cool.
Well, this is a lovely discussion. Yeah,
So I have one last question for Rebecca. You said you are a doula, and do you go into people's homes or
Mm-hmm.
hospital environments or both?
Yep.
And how does it work with Ren when you bring her with you?
So I don't bring her to births. Though, it could be something to experiment with.
I would.
The dogs can be great at births. Like I think I'll bring her to client visits sometimes, but mostly my birthing classes. And it's really important for everyone to be able to be vulnerable and real in those classes. So just having that warmth and that sort of that icebreaker again, and just, a little whatever comic relief at different moments just helps everyone open up more. But also I just noticed, like, having focus on like dogs and learning about dogs and developing my own intuition with dogs has helped me to then relate to my doula clients' pets. And so I'm like, oh, I'll just visit with them, like, hey, what's happening here? Or, oh, you really want that treat? And again, it's more ice breaking, but it's also just like acknowledging their whole family, because it's precious. The dogs are, and cats too, but really dogs are so much they're a sibling. They're a part of the family. They are um intrinsic. And so to welcome them and have some skill and witnessing of the dog and their place in the home and the family just again helps the overall my ability to serve them and their family. It's not like we have to eclipse part of our heart, because they are part of the heart, and so birthing is such a holistic thing that to be able to put your whole self and all of the dynamics on the table to look at and kind of get support around, it's just very, very valuable. And so, like her primary job, I feel like, is to help me meet new people and then be in my classes with me, and then sometimes in those visits that I'm doing at their homes. And I just don't feel like it'd be super fair to take her into the hospital when I'm there at the hospital, because there's like hard floors and my purpose is really, pretty specific. But at home births, I do notice, people loving on their pets is a great way to generate more oxytocin, and that just helps the whole birth process. So, just like getting into that love zone with your pet in preparation for birth is itself like a really good medicine.
Absolutely. Rebecca was my doula for my partner and I. And in my first child was born with about 6 dogs in the room.
Yeah, you
And then
my midwife dog there.
my
Yeah.
That's amazing.
second child was born with 15 dogs in the room. It was in this house here. So we had a home birth, and and Anahata was there with all her dogs, plus my dogs, and they were all in the room, and we all were just holding
Vibing.
for the baby to
Wow.
come. It was so cool. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
They
really
tuned
beautiful.
right in. They were so good. All the dogs were
That's a whole other show.
a whole other show. We need more dog. Bring more dog.
No, I'm
I'm in
saying the
pain. More
story.
dog.
I'm saying the story. That's a story for a whole another show, I think.
Sure is. It sure is. It's really cool. Yeah. Yeah. Add a little dog. Everything goes better. Add a little
Yep.
dog.
Yep.
It's so true, man. And even I think there's pictures on the website of when my second child as an infant was taking like her first nap. Like she was born literally like, 4 hours ago. And my dog Jackson is laying with her, taking a nap with her.
Oh,
He's like four
wow.
times her size, and
Yeah.
totally,
I,
totally,
yeah.
totally well,
I tease with my clients that it's like extra for the dog. Like
Yeah.
it's going to cost extra for the
Right.
dog.
Well, it's one thing it
Another
made me think
package.
of, Rebecca, was that, Ren is making you better at your job because
Yes.
if you're feeling more free to be yourself and more comfortable and more secure just because she's there with you and she's,
Yes.
the icebreaker for you that makes your job a whole lot easier, you're gonna do a
It's
better
so
job
true.
and be a better version of yourself. It's
It's so
amazing.
true. And she literally helps me with my intuition, which is super important being a birth worker. And it's also important when you go to have your baby to have your intuition be sharp because we're talking, we're not speaking English, her and I. We're sharing energy and learning from other cues, which is what you have to do with a baby. The baby is terrible at, speaking with words. They just make these sounds just like a dog, but like, to sharpen that intuition, so valuable.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, everybody, this has just been so great. I mean, the truth is we can keep talking,
Yeah.
which is so ripe and so revealing of how excited we are about our relationship with our dogs and the intelligence of them, and how much they affect our lives. And I find that true with everyone I talk to about their dog. It's just one of the greatest things to talk about. So, if you're watching this out there and this recording and you want to join us in this conversation, please come. Right now we're on every Wednesday from noon to 1. We're happy to have you join on just like Rebecca did, just like Samantha is. Samantha's kind of our mainstay now. She's just
Nice.
awesome and asks the best questions ever. So we're loving having her here and we're going to keep having her here. But it doesn't mean you can't join us also and join in just like Rebecca did with your
Yeah.
stories. Even if you don't have a Royal Frenchel, please just come on in as a dog person and let's just share about the dog. The show is called Talking Dog. So let's talk dog. Let's
All
do
right.
it. Let's talk some dog and let's keep it going and keep this rolling. This is so fun. I love this show. I'm such an honor to be here and have the chance to share my ideas and thoughts with you guys. I'm grateful to Anahata for helping make that happen and for producing these dogs and getting to live with them. And much
Yes.
love to everyone. I think we're like at 103 now, so it's time to end. And
All right. Well, fun.
please
Thanks,
write us
Arturo.
questions.
Thanks, Rebecca.
Thanks. Yeah. Fun. We'll see you
Yeah,
Bye,
that was
soon.
fun.
everybody. Bye bye.
Bye bye.
Bye.